barbell squats and their benefit, which ones like would be better for certain individuals, and potentially is there one that just beats all of them. The high bar back squat. Moment arm, or what we want to kind of break down, is where the bar, if you drew a line straight through the bar down to the floor, it have shown that glute development happens really well in the deep squat. Make sure you like, subscribe, and please share. I know there's definitely some people who watch this who are not subscribed, so please help it out, help a brother out, and subscribe. Low bar back squat, very similar in the sense of like getting the bar on your back, but now the bar is setting a little bit lower, normally on the across the rear delts, the back side of shoulders, posterior shoulders, and across more lower into like the mid traps. There's variations depending, of course, based on your back size, musculature. This would be one that a lot of people would be like, low bar is really good for those who have a good shelf. So that's, again, those muscles there in the back. What tends to promote better is also, of course, squeezing the scapula together to create a little bit more of that shelf. Very similar in the sense that, of course, your anatomical body parts do make a difference in if this is going to be better for you or not. I do still think that every individual who is able to get in under a bar for squat should try to do a low bar, again, to give different variation. This is going to be a little bit more hip dominant movement. The moment arm is going to be longer to the hip, or more aggressive to the hip, because the hip, based on the midline, is going to sit back further. Ideally, a lot of times when someone's doing a low bar squat, they're going to, when they start the movement to go down, they're going to break at the hips first or hinge at the hips first, followed by the knees, potentially at the same time. They're going to have less knee going forward movement, and it's going to promote a little bit more strength within the hips, of course. The quads are still going to have to work, but definitely the glutes are going to be built well in this position too. Typically, low bar back squat, you're not going to be able to sink as low to the ground. But again, if you're trying to do it for hypertrophy's sake, one could argue that high bar back squat would be better. But if you, again, anatomically want to work it really well, sink as deep as you can. If you're doing this, you typically find with powerlifters, you're going to at least break parallel, which is just going below that 90 degrees, just slightly. With it, again, you're going to root your feet into the ground. You're going to leg press the floor away. Your hip position is going to be different. Typically, you're going to either be looking down or looking straight ahead. With it, you're going to also potentially feel a bit more low back involvement in this, or feel like your low back is getting sore a little bit from a low bar back squat. The anatomical position, again, the longer femurs, the longer legs, the longer tibs, or lower legs, the potential of a shorter torso, two longer legs situation is going to ideally work better for low bar back squat. And then you have your front squat, which is normally the main other barbell squat that people think of. So that is a front racked position, or again, crossed arm position. Or some will do it in a Frankenstein squat variation where the arms are just straight out and holding the bar. Whichever variation, again, this is contributed to Olympic lifts typically, because again, they're promoting that position that they need to get into. So you have a slightly more upright position in high bar, a more hinged position, or said the back is going to look a little bit more lower to the position, and the front squat is going to be a much more upper back position, or a more vertical position. So ideally with the front squat, it would be better to get into a front rack position. A lot of people will have that mobility issue within the wrist, within the lats and the shoulder, to where they have a difficulty getting into there. Maybe at some point I'll go over like a video about how to better get into a front rack position. As I remember having a gentleman coming in asking me for that before. With it would be better. Some people, I do remember a guy, that's the only way he squatted. He'd always squatted front squats, and he would do crossed arm position. Yes, useful. I believe with this squat, it's just a difference. It definitely takes a little bit more to get used to than the other two. To get used to the position of the bar, and of course it's going to be a little bit more awkward and uncomfortable. So if you really want to learn how to do a front squat, then by all means go into it. If you're someone who is enjoying Olympic lifts, or someone who, pretty much anyone who's doing Olympic lifts, then you definitely want to learn how to do a front squat well. Typically those who are just trying to look for different variations to build hypertrophy is, and if you're not in any sports, so typically front squat's going to be much more useful for those who are in certain sports who again are doing Olympic lifts. I am of the belief that, and I'll probably get flack for this, that front squats are not really useful for building hypertrophy specifically, and not really as useful for those who aren't doing, like I said, Olympic lifts. Not that it can't build hypertrophy, but because of the learning curve and the uncomfortableness of doing the movement, you are going to have to drop your load and have to build more abdominal strength within the movement and back strength within the movement. So if you're trying to build hypertrophy for your legs or strength for your legs, it is not going to be ideal unless you get over that curve. So of course, if you want to learn a skill, I think it's very useful to learn a skill and throw something different. And if you're like doing your fitness journey is going for, of course, years and years, and you're like, hey, I've never tried it, let's try this, then by all means try it. But if you're watching this video for, okay, what variation of the barbell squat is going to help me build really good strength in my legs and really good hypertrophy in my legs, then the high bar or low bar squat is going to be more useful, because you can pretty much get within that fairly quickly. That being said, someone's going to be like, oh, you're going after it because you're a powerlifter and you can't front squat. I front squatted, let's see, in college a lot, and I have definitely front squatted. So yeah, no, I'm totally fine with doing front squats. I just know that it's way more convenient to just do high bar or low bar squat. So with that being said, go try out some barbell squats if you haven't already, and yeah, let me know where you feel the pump and which one you choose. And by all means, if you're like, I need help developing a really well refined program, maybe you want to get into powerlifting, or maybe you want to just learn how to squat really well and you need to start from scratch, definitely find me on Instagram. Click the link in the description below for an awesome deal for 12 weeks to have an accelerated program, to where, as one of my trainers, we'll get with you for virtual training. We'll find out what your goals are. We'll even help you with nutrition, set up you a personalized program, really help you dive into it and have that one-on-one assistance and help throughout the whole process. Until next time, y'all, keep squatting.